Hi, I'm Mandy Del Rio, and you're watching the Indie Lounge. I am so excited about this episode. We have theater, film, and television actor Robert Funaro here in the studio. Robert played Eugene Pontecorvo in one of the greatest shows of all time, The Sopranos. He's also done a number of films and theater productions, and recently played Tony Del Greco on HBO's hit new show, Vinyl. So welcome, Robert Funaro.
Thank you for inviting me here to the Indie Lounge.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. This is really cool. Before we get started, this is our first episode in the new studio, so I'm very honored to have you.
It's wonderful. I feel blessed that I'm groundbreaking. You're moving on up, and hey,
Yes,
listen, that's
yes.
great.
So, I wouldn't want anyone else here doing it. So.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you. You grew up in New York, is that right?
Yes, I grew up in Brooklyn,
Okay.
and then when the bridge Verrazano was built, about 3 years later, we moved to Staten Island.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Now, did you always want to be an actor?
Well, there was in my family, on my mother's side, we had some opera singers. And my grandmother, she sang opera. My aunt, Maureen, she used to sing. But on my father's side, his brother, Father Joe, my Uncle Joe, he was a priest, later a Monsignor. He always did these productions for Catholic charities. Not always, he was commissioned. He started in churches, community theater, and then he was commissioned to raise funds for Catholic charities in Brooklyn. And he did really wonderful productions, Oklahoma, The Music Man, and I got my real taste through him, going to his shows as a child. And then we would, at Christmas time, we would laugh it up and do little skits. And then when the tape recorders, we did that. We started doing taping ourselves and stuff like that. So we hammed it up. But that's how I fell in love with theater through him.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know.
Okay. And then how did you get started with your amazing career?
I went to Pace University. I told my mom and dad I wanted to be a big businessman and drive a Jaguar and work on Wall Street. And I had done some theater in high school, little productions and West Side Story and stuff. I wanted to really make some money and everything. I lasted about a half a semester. I couldn't take it to the accountant. I think on my accounting test I wrote a poem on it. I think it was "Don't Quit." That's like, when things seem worse, whatever, don't quit. And that was my find. Then I had a long talk with my mom, and she said, "What do you really want to do?" I said, "I'd love to do theater." She said, "Well, do it. They have a program there." And I went to Pace. I finished the next semester at Pace in the drama department. And I did Romeo and Juliet. I had a minor role. I played Balthazar. And that's how I started. And then I stop and go in my life, and
Yeah, things always, sometimes life happens when you're trying to, especially doing something like acting. I definitely understand there anything creative, but did you? I read about you tour Europe with very wonderful, famous, talented actor.
Yes, James Gandolfini. Later on, after I did a bit of living, I decided to really buckle down, and I started taking classes at HB Studio with Herbert Berghoff and Earl Hyman from The Cosby Show. And also, was a great classical actor. A lot of good people there, and they were inexpensive, and I really got serious about it. And then afterward, I did a play. I joined Paul Sorvino's company in. Where is it? It's on the north side near the George Washington Bridge. I forgot the name of. My father went there for a year. Anyway, Paul Sorvino had an acting company, and I got in as like an understudy, a helpful apprentice, and they allowed us to do one of the plays, and we did it, and I just felt so terrible doing it. But I had a good friend, and he said to me, came to see me. I was living in New York City. I don't feel right. I've taken classes at HB, but I still don't feel like I'm doing this correctly. So, maybe you need another class, another great teacher. So he funded me, gave me money to go to Bobby Lewis from the Group Theater, who was one of the originators of the actor studio. And he was in the Group Theater, and with Kazan and all the other great actors, Sanford Meisner. He taught Meryl Streep at Yale and everything. So I went in with Bobby, and then it clicked. After Bobby, I landed that role in Streetcar Named Desire, the European tour with James, and from then on, it was still a rocky road, but that's how we got to meet each other and become good friends. And then we lost touch with each other. It's a long story, and later on, we'll talk about that later. Maybe.
We are going to get into that, because I actually know, like I told you, I did my homework on you.
Cool.
I know everything I'm going to ask you, all that and more.
Fairleigh Dickinson University. It's Fairleigh Dickinson.
There you go. Got it.
That was the Porcellino company.
Now, you played Stanley Kowalski in that, right?
Yes.
And that must be a different experience in Europe as opposed to doing theater here. And we're going to get into your theater career, because you've got an extensive, impressive theater career here as well. What is the difference? What is it like doing theater in Europe? I mean, most people just dream about that.
Well, we did the Scandinavian tour, so they taught English there. It's like it's necessary for you to learn English in Finland, in Sweden, and in Norway. So they have a good command of the language. It was quite an experience, especially in Sweden. You know, you have Ingmar Bergman. They really love their theater there, and we played some wonderful theaters all over that country, and in Finland, and then in Norway. The Swedish theaters, they were the best. But in Norway, we were almost like at a large hall, and we set it up. We had a portable set and everything. But we had good responses from a lot of the people there in all three countries. And I mean, sometimes we had to take a train because it was snowing and not everyone could make it, and we did the best we could.
That is so cool, though. Yeah. That feels like more like old-time way of doing
it was
theater.
traveling company.
That's
It
was.
Cool. And we had some fun times too.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure you got lots of stories.
One time I played the flower because we didn't have enough actors. So not only did I play Stanley, I played the flower lady who goes around with the flowers in Streetcar.
Really?
You know, flowers for the dead, flowers for the dead. And Jimmy was like 3 roles. We had a fun time that night. We played multiple roles.
That's cool. That's very Shakespeare, actually, right?
Yes.
That is too cool.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when you came back to the States, I heard the story about Caroline's. You worked at Caroline's.
Yes.
In New York City, and that is kind of the birth of what was going to be the Sopranos role for you, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
8 years at Caroline's. I started as a doorman / bouncer, and that year that I was on the Sopranos, I landed the role. I was a manager.
Okay.
And I really wasn't acting. I was on and off. You know, agents would pass in and managers, they'd get an audition. I would talk to them. Yeah, I'm an actor. Nothing really occurred. I mean, I went on a few auditions. And then one night, coming into work, Jimmy Gandolfini was at the bar. Wow. And I saw him, and he saw me, and I said, man, it was the second year since Sopranos had aired, and I congratulated him. This is 20 years, I think it was like 23 years later. And I congratulated him and said, hey, Bobby, like we never parted, just friends.
That is so
and we had a drink, and he said, look, I want you to audition for the show. I said, are you kidding me? Have you been acting? And I said, yeah, I've been acting. I lied. You have to lie. You know what I mean? I told him, it's not good because you're going to have an audition in 2 days, and it's 2 doors down.
That is so cool. Well, let's get into that. We got to take a break. I'm getting that wrap-up thing, but this is awesome. This is a great intro, you know, to our next segment. So we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about The Sopranos and James Gandolfini and Mr. Bobby Funaro, Robert Funaro. Sorry.
That's okay. You can call me Bobby.
All right. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Welcome back to the Indie Lounge. I'm here with Robert Funaro, and we were talking about how James Gandolfini came into Caroline's and where it was going with the Sopranos. So I'd love to continue that conversation.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a total surprise. I thought he was doing something at Caroline's because, you know, so many years. And what happened was a friend of mine, Gordon Silva, another actor, he was at a party, and it was a way of introducing himself to Jimmy was to say, hey, I know a mutual friend of yours, Bobby Funaro. You did a play with him, Streetcar. And Jimmy replied, oh, how's Bobby doing? He's okay, he's doing well. What is he doing? He's working at Caroline's Comedy Club. He's a doorman there. He works the door, he bounces, and he said, oh, okay, cool. Tell him I said hi. And then he remembered that. He remembered. And there was a role that they were looking to fill, and he told his driver, Joe Fay, who's from Hazlet, New Jersey, it was a driver on the show, after the day shoot, we have to go to a comedy club. I don't remember the specific comedy club, but we have to get to a comedy club in New York. We might have to try 5 or 6 of them. Okay, so they went to each comedy club. I don't know how many they went to before they hit Caroline's. And he went to Caroline's, and he asked, yeah,
that's cool.
Bobby works here. He's going to be in about half hour. He said, okay, I'll wait. He's at the bar having a drink, and that's how it happened.
That's so cool.
So it was really through my friend Gordon that really, there's a lot of different things that, synergy.
Isn't that weird? Life,
it's crazy.
And you just you meet these
but
people.
But that's the kind of guy James was. He never forgot the people he grew up with, the people who he felt needed that break because it was so hard for him to crack through. He knew it was so hard. Of course, he had the advantage of going to LA, which I never did, but that really helped him too, Los Angeles. But still, he had a hard time, and he was such a giving person. Yeah. He helped so many people, when his career hit and before. He never really changed.
Yeah.
Wonderful man, and I owe my career to him.
Oh, that is amazing, and I'm
very thankful for knowing him.
Yeah,
I miss him dearly.
I'm sure you do. I think, I don't know him personally. Didn't know him personally, but the world misses him.
Yes.
Everyone. He was such an amazing actor and the show. Getting on to the show, you were actually you played Eugene Pontecorvo, and that members only in particular. I mean, everyone's familiar with you on the show, but then the members only was such a whoa. I mean, I actually got teary when I watched it. It was that to me. It was like. The acting is top notch on The Sopranos, of course. But with that and your particular role, your character, that was like, man, this guy, Robert Funaro, is an amazing actor.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. So that, is something. Did you feel like that was kind of like your defining, moment, sort of, or what did you, what was your experience like?
Well, that was my chance to really have some sort of chronology within an episode, some sort of storyline.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. I mean, to have all that work.
Yeah.
Because up till then, I had done a few things like Little Paulie hit him in the head with a Snapple bottle.
Yeah.
And people said, hey, you got to hit the guy in the head with the Snapple bottle. Hey, that's great, man. I love the way you did that. How'd you do that? And it's like, you're known for, and you have, you do Shakespeare, you do theater, and they know you for, crashing the guy with a Snapple bottle. Whereas this role, when I read the script, I said, this is great, because it's like Marlon Brando, who is a great genius actor. He always said that on Waterfront, everyone could relate to Terry because he's a guy that needed that second chance. He could have been a contender. Everyone could relate to that. Yeah. So when I read Eugene's role, and he's a guy that wants to get out.
Yeah.
And Tony won't let him out.
Yeah.
Because even though Tony's happy, he's at some point doesn't want to see anyone else. He's happy, but he's miserable. He doesn't want to see anyone else happy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And of course it was that omerta thing and that Italian thing that you can never get out. You only can get in. But I knew that people could relate to that.
Yeah.
So I knew it was a good storyline. And I was going through things in my life then, a few things that really related to the character. So I really lived that, you know, indecision, insecurity and stuff of getting all that. It really helped. I used it to help me build that, you know, Eugene in a way that I think audiences really could relate to.
Absolutely, yes, hands down, hands down. You, like I said, you did a fantastic job.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you know, so you worked with David Chase in The Sopranos, obviously, and then, you know, I know you kept in touch, and you worked with a lot of people after that. You know, I think you went on to do theater. You did Maureen Van Zandt, I believe.
Maureen, yes, she's the artistic director of a theater company called Renegade Nation. And they're doing some shows now, plays now at the Crane Theater for the next week or so.
Okay.
One acts, and we're going to be mounting on some productions in the future. Yeah,
oh, good.
Definitely invite you.
Please do. That'd be awesome.
Yes.
And
so
we'll.
Maureen's, she's very big into the theater.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, on the downtime of Sopranos, she would produce plays, and I would be, you know, she asked me to be in the plays, and Vinny Pastore. We did Clifford Odets play Golden Boy, which was great. And so you always got to keep busy, and that was great. Maureen's a great person. She's a real lover of theater. So is Vincent Pastore. He's a great, you know, supporter of theater.
Yeah, I've like I said about them as well. I've only heard good things.
Yes.
And I saw that you did all that stuff with them, and that's really cool. And you also you worked again with David Chase on Not Fade Away.
Yes, we had. That was another great experience. But like a lot of rock and roll films, they either make it or they don't. It's a very difficult.
Some of the times.
There's a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. Even, you know, we'll talk about vinyl. It's not an easy medium to get across. You have to have that. People got to like it, and it was a wonderful experience. I thought it was a great script. The music was terrific. I thought the story was great. Just that. People didn't really like it that much. I don't know.
It's a sign of the times. I honestly think that's part of it. Jack and I talk about, would Taxi Driver do as well if it came out today? I don't know if it would. I don't know if it would, and I'm not trying to bag on, you know, all the superhero movies, but you know where I'm getting at.
I think that's a good point, because it's taken out of its context. And I also think that was David's first shot at film, his first major film, and it was a personal film because it was biopic, because it was about him. That was his experience. He played in a band, and then he wound up in Los Angeles, and then he became a producer, director, a writer. This was his experience. And it was somewhat poetical, you know, with the daughter and at the end, and that freedom. But as you said, maybe in the wrong time frame.
I hope it comes back, because I love movies like that, a slice of life, a story. You know, it doesn't have to be this either a comic book, or it doesn't have to be political. It could just be a movie, you know, a movie as they used to make them. We have to wrap it up again. Look how fast this is going.
It's going really quick.
I know. So we'll take a short break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk more about movies and all this other stuff.
Love it. I love it.
Stay tuned. Back to the Indie Lounge. I'm here with Robert Funaro, and we were talking about Not Fade Away. And what I want to get into with that is we were talking about, you know, the soundtrack was great. Obviously, David Chase, and actually Vinyl. I want to get into Vinyl too. You played Tony Del Greco in Vinyl, and that's a reoccurring role. And
well, the thing about Fade Away, the musical person behind it was Stevie Van Zandt.
Okay.
And he is the Underground Garage, and of course Silvio.
Right.
And Bruce E Street Band,
of course.
Gigantic
My
Jersey.
favorite, love
yes.
Bruce.
Went to see him the other night.
No,
Monday.
you didn't.
He rocked the house.
Gosh, I love Bruce.
He's a musical historian. So
yeah, of course. Of course.
And he was behind Fade Away with David. He couldn't have picked a better person, because if you really look at that film and how the band progressed and who drops out and who does what, it really was a true get together of how groups form and creating who sings, and so it's great for people who want to be have bands, to see, creatively. There were a lot of great things in there besides Jimmy and his relationship with his son, and Molly Price, who was great, and of course Uncle Murph.
Yeah, of course, Uncle Murph's the best character. So
anyway, so segueing into Vinyl, it's been a wonderful experience to work on that.
Yeah.
For HBO. I kind of missed Boardwalk Empire because they really didn't want to use it. They've used some Sopranos, but I think they didn't want to use a large portion of the company.
Makes sense.
So I kind of skipped that, and although I did audition for the pilot and didn't get it, some of the roles there. But then it's fine because I got asked to do.
Vinyl.
I went to audition for Vinyl, and I landed the role of Tony Del Greco, who is an associate to Corrado Galasso, played by Armin Garrow, who's terrific.
Fantastic.
And we have a relationship with Richie Finestra and American Century. Now they're called Alibi Records at this point in stage of the series.
Yep. Love the show. I know it all.
But yeah, Marty Scorsese. Wonderful. It was a dream to work with him.
I was going to ask you,
in any capacity. You can see why everyone loves him. He nurtures. He's not autocratic. He's open to. He'll ask you, "Would you say this?" He'll ask you. He brings you in. I think everyone, the whole crew. I'll just say a little funny story. The first day on the set, we were in the Bronx because Otto Assendow plays. I forgot who Otto plays.
Lester Grimes.
Lester, right. How could I forget? You got to cut that. Anyway, we had to rough him up.
Yeah, that's a horrible scene, too.
It's a very horrible scene, but that set was set in the Bronx. And it looked like that time of the 50s. Our hair was slick. We had the Lincoln Continental. We came out of the car.
Yep.
It was brilliant. And Marty, he picked that location. He apparently picks his locations. Well, he has brilliant people pick them and who know what he's looking for.
Right.
Because that's how it was done, and he okays them. And he walked the set, and on the set they had these garbage cans. Back then they were steel.
Yeah.
And they had these clear plastic bags with paper, brown paper inside. I'm looking at that. I don't think that would be in this era like that, strewn around. So Marty walks the set, and all of a sudden he starts grabbing these bags, throwing them in the middle of the street like this wouldn't be it. I said, now this is the director.
Yeah.
He's walking the set, he's doing everything. And we had a train in the background.
Cool.
And then I found out that someone had told me that originally he was going to direct American Gangster. And this is an interesting little thing.
I love it.
Yeah. And he gave them a list of locations that he wanted to use in American Gangster in New York. And I think the studio said, I think it's going to cost us too much money. And I believe I'm not going to quote him. I know that things went south after that. Because he's a perfectionist.
Yeah.
He's just a perfectionist. He's an
so
artist.
Obvious.
He's an artist.
Yes.
Like the Mona Lisa, the back of Da Vinci and Michelangelo. It has to be he knows that picture.
Absolutely.
And he sets it up.
Yeah, it shows. It shows.
Yeah,
I mean,
because if you see with Lester and the background like that, superimposed with the singer and the lighting, and he poetically is telling about rock and roll, its progression.
Beautiful.
Yes. I mean, it's just not a regular film. The narration and stuff like that.
No.
It's really great.
Oh, he's completely an art. He's one of my all-time favorites, and the pilot was like a movie, and
That's
it
what
was
people said.
beautiful.
Yeah, that's what people
beautiful.
said. Yeah.
Now I wanted to. I know we don't have much time now, but first we're going to be on the lookout for your theater projects.
Yes.
Where can people go to find out more about you?
I'm doing a reading at Dixon Place on Christie Street.
Okay.
Of a play by a friend of mine, John Nazari, called Temporary Light. It's like a blue-collar play. He has a couple of them that we're trying to mount and put together in New York on an off-Broadway space. And that's May 5th.
Okay.
And you can Facebook me. I'm available. Everyone can
Great.
Facebook me if they want to. I'll become your friend. I don't really
Okay.
care. And so
All right.
I tell people through Facebook.
Yeah, you and I
what
are
I'm
friends.
Doing. Yeah,
Yep.
what I'm doing through Facebook.
Okay.
So check that out. And of course, these upcoming episodes of Vinyl, my role gets a little bit,
I'm
starts
excited.
to integrate into the mix.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Another question, I wanted to make sure we got, your plugs, all the stuff you're doing, but another question is all these
of course,
guys.
though, I'm sorry.
Oh,
the
no, go
Renegade
ahead.
Theater, we're going to be doing, the Renegade Theater, we're going to be doing some work with them, with Maureen and Vincent Pastore. We're trying to mount a play called 40 CPS. It's about Michael Bennett.
Okay.
And it's about a period in his life, his relationship with his father. I will play Michael. His name is Mitchell Barnett in the play, written by a writer called Louis LaRusso, who lived in Jersey, and he wrote a play called Lamppost Reunion about Frank Sinatra. It was very popular on Broadway for a little time. And we did that production. So we're trying to get that play, put that up maybe in the fall or the spring of next year.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's really
great play
Yeah.
about that whole experience and friendship and how you can lose the friendships in the business and how that's his father kind of grafts himself into his life, who he had nothing to do with him in his life, and he kind of gives him an example that friends and the love of friends and family, that's the most important thing, which it really truly is.
It
all
really
the other stuff is
absolutely.
It's great to have, but at the end of the day, you have to go home.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to go home to Xanadu.
Yeah.
All alone.
That's right. That's right. Well, we're gonna put
Orson taught us that lesson.
we're gonna put that on our website too, and please keep me posted so I can promote it. I'm gonna promote the heck out of it. So, while we've got I think 2 minutes or so. I'm curious. How does music ever play a part in you preparing for your roles? I mean, because all these guys we talked about, it's vital. So, what about you?
Yes, it does. Especially if I'm doing a play, it kind of I find the music that kind of the character would listen to that inspires me. Also, if I'm prepping for a role, maybe an emotional scene, I try to kind of fill up with that to get into that mode. You don't want to, of course, give it out too soon, especially in films. They take the different takes and a wide shot, and you want to save it up. But it definitely plays a big part in the tempo, and in the long run, it's really about behavior.
Yeah.
And it's very important.
Yeah.
It's very important. I do listen to all different kinds of music, opera, or rock and roll, or jazz.
That's so cool. So I thought so. I had a feeling that music was very important to you. So that's really cool. I had to ask that, especially with all the people you've worked with, because it's very clear it's important to them too. So
it's a character. It's almost like you use it as a way of entering.
Yeah, I totally get it.
Like a portal.
Yeah. I totally get it. Well, we have to wrap it up. This was it, but I had such a good time, and the time just flew, and I can't thank you enough for coming on the show.
Thank you too. At the Indie Lounge, it did fly because it's over.
Yeah, I know.
Time flies when you're having fun, Mandy.
It does, Tommy. So, all right. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you too. Real pleasure.
It's an honor, and thanks for being our first guest in the new studio.
Hope you get good ratings.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, we're signing off on the Indie Lounge, and if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Indie Lounge TV, Facebook, Indie Lounge TV, and you can go to Mandy at Indie Lounge TV com if you want to email me. So, and don't forget our website, indieloungetv.com. Did I say Indie Lounge TV anymore? Did I say it enough? It's Indie Lounge TV.
People got to know.
They got to know, exactly. All right, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.